Hello everyone, my name's Daniel, and here I am on my channel, Geography Panda, uh, wanting to talk to you about the differences between American Airlines and Delta Airlines in terms of COVID. Uh, right now, today is February 19th, 2021, so COVID is assumingly near its end, but if not, maybe this video will be useful for some people, and it will at least be useful for people within the next couple months while COVID's still going on, for sure. Hopefully not longer, but we'll see in 2 months. You can watch this video again and be like, haha, you thought it would only be 2 more months, 3 more months. What a joke. Anyways, so with I felt like making this video because I traveled through both of these airlines during COVID, and I want to give a little review so you know what to expect with these airlines in terms of the precautions they have been taking for air safety. And I will say this is just my personal experience with each of the airlines when I traveled to specific locations. So I don't know if the policy is different depending on location, or if what they did with me is what the airline will do everywhere. I'm not really sure. But yeah, so I back in the summer of 2020, I visited my parents. I lived in North Carolina. My parents live in Florida, and I can't drive there anymore because my car is not great. So I have to fly there, and my mom really wanted to visit, and I was unsure about visiting because it was June of 2020. But it's hard to say no to my mom, so I was like, all right, I'll visit. Um, and we got a ticket to fly there, a ticket from Charlotte, North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida. So that's the route I took. I took American Airlines. Was the one I took in the summer. Um, and let me go ahead and say Delta has done much better with COVID than American. Um, I can't, I don't know much about the airlines in general because I only started flying again recently. I flew a little bit when I was 10, and then only 3 times in the past year and a half, and that's all the times I've flown, so I don't really know all the pros and cons of all the airlines, other than what I've experienced in the past year and a half with 3 different round-trip flights. One pre-COVID, 2 post-COVID. But American Airlines, what they did require everyone to wear a mask on the plane, which is obviously a good thing during a pandemic. So they required everyone to be masked up, but that's about it. Oh, they also didn't serve food at all. They didn't serve any food or drinks or anything like that. Um, so no one was like taking their mask off to eat some food or drink something. Um, so yeah, that's kind of it. They didn't space us out at all. Like every seat in the plane was taken by a person. So you did not have any more room than you would have on a plane pre-COVID. Like it, there was no space. They didn't space people out. There's no empty seats. That was American Airlines. My round trip on the way to Jacksonville and all the way on the way blah, blah, on the way back. It was like that. It was like that. So yeah, Delta Airlines, on the other hand, I think did a much better job. They were a lot more responsible with the precautions they took uh, in regards to airline safety. Uh, and so what they did, I went in December when I took Delta Airlines, and I had a layover when I took Delta, so I went from Charlotte to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta to Jacksonville. and then reverse on the way back. I still had the layover in Atlanta on the way back. And I took Delta, so I was in 4 separate Delta planes within my round trip. Uh, and they all did a very good job with what they did. Some planes were bigger than others, so there was more room to space people out. But um, when you walked, so Delta did a few things that were better. First off, right when you walk on the plane, there's a flight attendant there handing you a little packet um, of wipes, of like sanitary wipes, and so they're giving every passenger a package of sanitary wipes so that um, the passengers can wipe things down if they need it. So that was a really nice thing. Like that's a very simple thing uh, that just wasn't done with American. Um, I just thought about the fact also the date that I went could also be different. Could have also made a difference because I went with American in June and Delta in December. So I don't know if American got better, but the reason we switched from American to Delta um, in December to uh, visit for like Christmas was because my mom like looked up both their policies on COVID and saw that Delta's policies regarding COVID were better. So she already read that and picked Delta, and then I saw firsthand, wow, these are a lot better precautions. Um, but anyways, yeah, Delta gave you little wipes when you walked onto the plane, which was very nice. And then they spaced people out. No one sat in the middle seats. So you have the aisle, and then 3 seats on one side, 3 seats on another. Uh, no one was sitting in the middles on either of those like 3 seat sets. So only aisle seats and window seats were used. And I sat near the back on all my flights. So I think that also helped a little bit more with spacing. But there was never someone sitting right next to me. With American, there was people sitting next to me. There was always someone sitting next to me. But with Delta, no one was sitting next to me. Um, and they would let you switch seats if you wanted to, if you didn't feel comfortable with where you were, if you wanted to be further away from other people. They had the back rows um, completely reserved, I think, for uh, people who wanted to be further away from other people. I think they had the 2 back rows blocked off for a reason for one of the planes. I don't know. But on my first Delta flight, the first of the 4, I was in the aisle seat, and there was a woman who was like a woman in her like 50s maybe or 60, who was supposed to be in the window seat, like in the same row as me. Um, but she didn't even sit down. She just asked the flight attendant. She said, "Hey, could I sit in the back instead of sitting at this window seat?" And the flight attendant was like, "Yeah, go ahead." So the woman went to the very back and sat in the very back corner, far away from everyone else, which is really cool. Um, and then one of my flights, my second flight, I don't know how they had this much extra space, but my second flight had so much extra space. I can't speak today. I got 3 hours of sleep last night. Um, my second flight, uh, so there was someone directly in front of me when I sat down in my assigned seat. There was someone directly in front of me, um, but there was no one in the entire row. I was at a window seat, and I looked all the way to the other window, nobody. Um, and then I looked behind me. I was the 4th row from the back, um, and so I looked behind me, and not a single person was behind me either. In like the entire like 3 column section that I looked back on my side of the aisle, no one was behind me. So I was like, wow, might as well space out. So I asked the flight attendant, hey, could I back up just so I'm spaced out from everyone else since no one's sitting back there? And he's like, yeah, we're reserving the last 2 seats, the last 2 rows for some reason. But you can go back one seat, 1 row if you want. So I did. I went back a row. I was in the row 3rd from the back, and I looked across from me, and there was a guy I looked to the other window, and there was a guy at the other window, um, but that was it. I looked at the row, so I sat there with no one in the entire row, window to window, in front of me. No one in the 2 rows behind me, window to window. Not a single person, window to window, in the 2 rows behind me or the row in front of me. And then one guy on the other window seat on the other side of the plane. And that's how spaced out I was. That was my second flight of the 4, and it was the most spacing I got. Um, but like, still at the very least, with Delta, they didn't use the middle seat. And I think on all my flights, I didn't have anyone in my row on the same side of the aisle as me. Like if I was in a window seat, there was no one on the aisle seat. If I was in the aisle seat, no one was in the window seat. I think it just happened to work out that way for me on all 4 flights somehow. But I think it was also fairly common. They just didn't have enough people flying, I guess. I don't know. But so I always had the whole 3 seats to myself, on all 4 plane rides, which was insane. I was so surprised that, like literally just my surprise from that even occurring is what caused me to make this video in the first place. I was like, damn, Delta really knows what they're doing. In regards to COVID responsibility, at least. Again, I don't know anything else about them. My roommate has been like, yeah, Delta has not been great in other aspects, but just strictly regarding COVID precautions, Delta is doing a great job. Um, and again, I'm only comparing Delta to American. I haven't flown any other airline, so don't say I'm saying Delta's the best, because I have no idea whether it's the best or not. In regards to COVID, there could be some airlines doing an even better job, but I don't know how much better of a job you could do other than spacing them out that much. I was spaced out a lot, and so Delta did a great job there. One thing Delta did do was they still served food, which was very interesting. I found that very interesting that they had so many precautions, but they still served food. They didn't serve it in the same traditional sense that airlines usually serve food. They basically just gave us like a sandwich bag that had a package of goldfish in it, and a water bottle, and a napkin, and I think 1 or 2 of them even had like a Biscoff cookie. So that was really cool. But yeah, I think that's it. But yeah. Delta had like sorry, again, 3 hours of sleep. Delta had this whole little prepackaged set, and they said you could eat on the plane. So that is something that did confuse me a little bit with all the precautions they were taking, that they let people do that. But yeah, I think I only got the snack things like from Atlanta to Jacksonville. Now I think about it. I think the Atlanta to Charlotte flight was too short. But sorry, someone walked into my front door and that distracted me. And you're watching it because I don't care to edit these videos. Anyways, try to keep this video under 15 minutes. Me trying to explain airline COVID safety precautions on 3 hours of sleep is very interesting. But yeah, I feel like there's something else I was gonna say. But Delta spaced people apart, and they gave everyone a little wipe. But they also still served food. So yeah, take that as you will. I would personally definitely recommend Delta over American if you're trying to fly during COVID times. That's the basis of this 15-minute video. If it's COVID, if you're still flying during COVID times, pick Delta over American. There you go. All right. See ya. Goodbye. That's it. Adios.